Morning, Lindsay McGee from 3P.
Morning, I'm Trevor from 3P.
Yeah. So we want to chat today about the subject of talent management. We'll just
Big topic.
Yeah, it's a big topic. Just shoot the breeze a little bit. So bring some of our learnings and experiences and pain points around the subject. So probably a good place to start. Trev, ask you a question. How would you define talent management? What would be a good way to do that?
We've created a little acronym, ASPIRE. And really the ASPIRE, the letters just stand for A, acquisition, SP, succession planning, I is improvement, and the R and the E is retention and engagement. So it's 4 key chunks of talent management. So it gives you a bit of structure and easier to explain what we mean when we're talking about talent management.
Yeah, I think it's a good point, because our experience has given us the feedback that talent management, we get 10 people in the room and say, tell me what talent management is. And we'll get 10 different definitions. And that's not to say, we're doing it better than anybody else. It's just to say that we're trying to get in a position whereby it's easier to communicate, easier to explain, and particularly for the audience out there as well, that if you're thinking about talent management, there's the 4 big sections of talent management. So it's a good starting point.
Yeah, and what I would add as well as the 4 key chunks of talent management, the whole thing's underpinned by talent analytics. And what we mean by talent analytics is actually measuring. So you can measure culture, you can measure values, you can measure behaviours, you can start measuring people's emotional intelligence, start measuring why they're getting the results that they actually get, even before you've actually got the person on board as part of the acquisition process.
Yeah, I think emotional intelligence, as we know, anybody who's checking out LinkedIn and all the different social platforms, it's had a bit of a resurgence over the past 6 to 12 months. It was initially put together back in 1995, Daniel Goleman, but there's a lot of resurgence now. And you hear this term EQ, emotional intelligence, and I think it's a great subject. But how can you build that into talent management? I think it's a good point.
Yeah, and it very much starts with self-awareness, I think, and that's where the talent analytics can help, getting people to be self-aware of their own behaviours and the behaviours of others. So it's a good place to start, is to measure behaviours.
Yeah. So that's a nice way to introduce what we're talking about today. And I think what is it we want to give people who are maybe looking at this video or following our content, is it's trying to bring you the power to make confident people choices. It's a big challenge in organisations. Have we got the right person? Have we brought in and recruited the right person? And I think sometimes we've all had the experience of, it seems to be the right person, but then 6 months down the line, it's not. It's painful, it's the wrong person, and we're then getting into the dismissal and the firing section of talent management. And it's trying to avoid those pain points, trying to make sure that you're making confident people choices at any point in time, using the ASPIRE approach and bringing talent analytics and EQ into your thought process as well. Anything to add to that, Trevor?
Yeah, obviously here there's a lot of reports, particularly scale-up organisations, when one of the main thing that comes out is access to talent. So it's obviously a big challenge a lot of people are going through, whether you're a small independent company or a huge corporate. It's getting the right talent, getting them in the right positions and the right fit, not just for the role, but and also that organisation, but the culture. So making sure that they're a good fit in that particular job, in that particular organisation.
And you hear this as well, nice little simple terminology to bring that one home is right people on the right seats on the right bus. Yeah, and to make sure you've always got that, and if you've got the wrong people, you get them off the bus. So it's making those confident people choices. That's what we're all about, and trying to help and educate people around that particular subject. So what brings us to this point where we're talking about talent management? They say that you start a business trying to solve a particular problem, or you may have experienced the problem yourself, and it's a pain point that you're trying to deal with. And a nice little phrase I picked up a while back, your mess becomes your message. Your mess becomes your message. And from my experience, and I know your experience as well, going back when we didn't have a lot of access to analytics and the likes and lots of email, you'd have lots of paper CVs, piles of paper CVs, and you're trying to make decisions on that. Now, even with the sophistication that we've got now with emails and people formatting their CVs in a particular way, you're trying to get a hold of the personality, of the behavioural characteristics of the individual. Not just have they got the IQ, can they do the job, the knowledge and the skills, but have they got the behavioural elements, the emotional intelligence to... So this is where we've come into this Aspire Talent Management, is to think about how we can get you that whole picture to make confident people choices. Anything from your experience?
Yeah, just to add, as you're talking there about the acquisition piece, you mentioned the IQ and people's qualifications and certificates, and it's what we call the eligibility factors. But the cultural bits, the behavioural bits, it's what we call suitability. So I find it crazy, really, this day and age, that why people wouldn't use sophisticated analytics tools to actually measure behaviours. CV, an interview, you do need them, but it's about digging a bit deeper. And that's when some of these sophisticated tools can really help you do that.
And again, it's a great point. And again, from your own personal experience, we've all been asked to step up to a particular job, being promoted or whatever it may be. And you didn't have the right suitability for that job at that point in time. You didn't have the right emotional intelligence for that job. You were promoted because of your knowledge and your skills. And then trying to take on a bigger management role or a bigger leadership role really becomes a pain point, and fast tracking that emotional intelligence as well. So I think, the audience out there, there'll be those of you who've experienced that. You've been put into a role now which you may be struggling with from an emotional intelligence point of view, the behavioural element, or those of you who are bringing people into your organisation, trying to grow the organisation, scaling it up, and not being able to keep people in the organisation because you haven't made the right choice at the acquisition phase.
Well, a good example, we work in a lot of organisations. You'll know yourself, Lindsay, from some of the analytics that we've done. We'll work with a lot with managers, leaders, and often is the case when we look at their profiles, they haven't got a natural desire to want to manage and lead people, but they've just been promoted for different reasons. And then in this position of management, leadership and responsibility, and you think, there's not a natural desire to want to do that.
Yeah, and that will create a pain point for the individual and for the organisation. So you're then in a position of, this person doesn't fit that role, what do I do now? So it's draining the resources that you have that you could be using productively elsewhere. So I think as a means just to think about where's the benefits if you're going to run a good talent management initiative, and the return of investment of employing somebody should be positive always. That you bring somebody in, it's going to fit into a particular role, and if they do that really well, it's going to add value to my business. But what we're finding is that organisations maybe is not making a confident enough choice, bringing the right person in. So it becomes a negative ROI in a sense of, the statistics out there will say that up to 200% of that person's salary. So if you're employing somebody for 50k and it doesn't work out, you're going to lose around about 200%. So that's 100k. And that's 100k lost to the business. Now that could be paying the recruiter, that could be just the onboarding process, it's all indirect time. The time to train somebody, the interaction they have with maybe with workforce or with clients, and it's a negative impact. It's damaging your reputation. And then it's going to cost you money to make this person leave the organisation or enable them to leave the organisation. So it can be up to 200%. So we say hire slowly and fire quickly. Hire slowly, easier said than done. So hire slowly and fire quickly. Make more effort at the front end, get in the right person, wait for the right person, and be able to measure that as well.
Yeah, again, in past experience, what we found is sometimes people struggle to wait until they've got the right person. There's an urgent need in the business.
Why do you think that? There's an urgent need?
There's an urgent need, and they need some bums on seats. So there's a temptation just to get a person rather than the right person. So I think it is about what you said there, is just making sure it's a slow hire, making sure you're deliberate in who you bring in to the role and to your organisation.
Now, for all of the startup and scale-up community out there, the book 0 to 1 says that you're going from your idea to a business, so 0 to 1. That team that gets you there is not necessarily the team that takes the 2x, 3x, 10x. And so your talent profile is going to change depending on the size of the business and depending upon the challenges that you have at any point in time. So talent management, it's a very important subject. It's got to be integrated into your business because it's live. It's not do it and it's finished. It's a live event and needs to be well thought through.
In the term acquisition, it's different to recruitment. Recruitment, I think you fill in a specific role, whereas acquisition is it's a more holistic approach to just bringing in the right types of people with the right attitude, behaviours, intrinsic factors that are going to be a good match to that organisation. So it's bringing the talent and then find the right thing for them, not necessarily just pigeonholed into this very specific role. So it's find good people.
We've got the definition for acquisition. So we said, be simple. Talent acquisition is the ongoing process of attracting. So it's an ongoing process of attracting, recruiting, inducting, and making use of the right talent in alignment with your business objectives and goals. So that's an important subject. It's not just about recruitment. That's just one element of it. How do you attract the right people to your brand and to your organisation? That's a part of it. And once they're in there, how do you then induct them and build them into the organisation?
Absolutely.
So again, just to recap on what we've done so far, talent management to us, just to make it easier to remember for us when we're talking to clients, and also for anybody out there who wants to take this on board. It's Aspire. So it's acquisition, so succession planning, improvement, retention, engagement. We've talked a little bit about acquisition, so it's probably a good time to talk about succession planning a little bit as well. It's always back to that talent analytics and measuring the people that you're going to be bringing on board, but also the people that you've currently got. So what do you mean by talent analytics?
It's analysing the talent, but also the potential. So as I said before, it's about making sure someone's a good fit for the role, but also making sure someone is a good fit for the organisation. And by what we mean by organisation is more the environment, the culture. And again, culture is like this huge topic, but it's really about the behaviours of that organisation. What behaviours do you want? A lot of people have organisational values. I find values are difficult to measure, whereas if you can align certain behaviours to those values, you can then measure the behaviours. So the talent analytics is just making sure that the potential talent, the current talent, you're measuring them to make sure that they're going to be able to do the job that they're there for.
What sorts of tools are out there? Some examples of what can be used?
There's literally thousands and thousands of tools you can use. I would never sit here and say this one or that one. It's a one that's right for the organisation. We use a number of tools. One in particular, which is called Harrison Assessments, which allows us to, it looks at a whole plethora of different behaviours, motivators, interests, preferences, etc. And elements of personality as well. Because of course, it isn't about necessarily changing someone's personality, but it's about trying to change certain behaviours, which we'll come on to in the improvement element of the talent management. So there's a number of different tools. We try and use the ones that are not going to pigeonhole people or put people in a box. And there's a number of tools that do that. And you can still get lots from them. that good tools really are. But the ones we tend to look at are the ones that just look at the whole thing holistically and not pigeonhole people.
Yeah. So again, succession planning, that's really, once you have your talent in your organisation, how you identify that. So you've got to measure again. So you need some form of analytics to do that. And there are, as Trevor says, thousands of tools out there. And you'll be using them now. And if not, you can check this out on any of the on Google, etc., and find the different tools that you could use. So succession planning, this is really making sure that your talent fit at any point in time in your organisation. If you think people are going to leave the organisation, who's going to be backfilling? Who's going to be the person that's going in there? And if you cannot backfill, then you're into acquisition. You've got to find somebody who you can bring in the organisation ready to fill those. We call them critical and key roles. Yeah? It's not for every position in your organisation. That would be virtually impossible to do. But critical and key roles, those roles that could damage your business continuity if that person was to leave. You've got to think critically and long-term about if that person does leave or when they retire, etc., or they move to their next position. How do you backfill that?
It's about just creating, like you said, a talent-ready pool. So a pot of people.
Well, it's like an internal recruitment process.
Exactly, of course it is. And it's about being proactive in terms of when someone leaves one of those critical or key roles, it's not about then thinking who might be able to fill it, because there might be some development needs. So it's about just trying to take a step back, identify who you've currently got, where the potential is, and start the development now for when that person potentially leaves in 3 months, 6 months, 2 years. At least you've got time to develop your current talent pool.
Yeah, and that nicely takes us into the I section of Aspire. So we've talked about acquisition, that's the A, succession plan, the SP, and then I's improvements. This is the development area, improvement, training, and it includes knowledge, skills, and behaviours, because sometimes it is knowledge and skills that somebody needs to help them go to that next level. But in a lot of cases, when we're talking to the managers and leaders and executives, it's to get to that next level, it's a behavioural change. Okay, not a personality change. That's something that is more or less fixed. That's a task that I don't think anybody wants to get involved with from a talent management point of view. But the behavioural elements, the behavioural competencies certainly can be modified and changed through coaching, through a lot of self-awareness, some reporting, through some talent analytics.
And just to add on as well from the improvement section in development, you're right, Lindsay, it's not about trying to change someone's personality, as we mentioned, but it is about changing behaviours, because some behaviours are not as helpful as others, and whether that's linked to the competency or the cultural aspects of why you want to develop certain behaviours. So it's a big section, the improvement one. So there's a number of different ways to approach it. But again, it always starts with that talent analytics. I will keep getting back to the talent analytics because it underpins where you need to go. It's going to help you with your strategy of what you should be doing. And it's using really good data to help you do that.
It is a good point. We've all been there. We've all been on the, we call them sheep dip training courses. So everybody's invited to attend a training course. And like any training, I'm sure there's always something for us to learn, even just one little thing. But to go to a training course, we think, I've been to this type of thing before. We're on a training course because it's a mandate, we're ticking a box. Much better to be going to a coaching session, to a training session, which is relevant to your particular needs, to improve your behavioural dynamics, to take it that next level in your career and your job. So it needs to be more targeted rather than the sheep dip approach. So from our point of view, just to round off on Aspire, to do all that, acquisition, succession planning, improvement, then a reward can be retention and engagement. And we've spent a lot of time talking to organisations about engagement, and I think sometimes it's, can we start there? How do we engage people more in the organisation? And there's no right or wrong. We feel that retention and engagement's a reward for having a robust process in place to bring the right people in, to promote the right people, to know you're doing that, making the right choices, and developing people in the right way also. The more likely to be engaged with your business, they'll see what the business is about, it's relevant to them. And engagement should mean as well that you get better retention. And that's got to be the goal for organisations as they're scaling and they're growing, to keep the good talent with them. Because there is a battle to get good talent, and once you've got it, your task then is to keep that talent in play as long as you can.
To add to that, retention and engagement, it doesn't just happen by chance.
Yeah.
It needs a thought out process to make sure someone is engaged in the business, is likely to stay there. They've got lots of opportunities to go elsewhere now. So the retention and engagement, it just does not happen by chance. And you hear a lot about employee engagement. Been a bit of a buzzword for a number of years. And it's linked, the research is showing now, it is linked to performance, it's linked to productivity. So the value add of the individual is purely linked to how engaged they are in that organisation.
Yeah.
In terms of employee engagement, we look at it as a dynamic relationship. There isn't a silver bullet. There's a lot of factors involved, and we look at 3 factors in particular when we look at the engagement in the dynamic relationship. We look at the individual. So what's the expectations? What does the individual, what does the employee want from the organisation, from that particular job? We look at the organisational elements, the environment. So is there an alignment with the vision and the values of that individual, with the company and the company's goals? But also massively important, and it's been shown 70% of the engagement can be down to your relationship with your manager. Now that's a key part. Yeah. You'll have heard the phrase of you leave your manager, not your job. And it is true. That key relationship with your manager is vitally important to retention and engagement. So 3 key areas to focus on engagement. It's the organisation, it's the individual expectations, and it's the relationship with the line manager.
And there's various statistics around, and whether they're correct or not, but just the level of it is scary. Employee engagement levels are supported at 30%, which really means only 3 in 10 of employees have the commitment to your business that you want them to have. Now, that can be felt in an organisation. If you've got an organisation which is a 30% engagement, that's people who are really strongly engaged with the business. That's 70%. You'll feel that negativity there. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it could be a lot of people just indifferent, sitting on the fence. And it's the managers, the leaders, it's their role to bring, and there's the different elements of engagement, as emotional, intellectual and social commitment to your business and your culture and your values. So there's a lot of management and leadership needed around the subject of engagement, and hence the reward being retention. So it's got to start with a thoughtful process of talent management. Think it through. Doesn't matter what you've done in the past, you can start afresh at any point in time. The reward for doing the right things, good acquisition, including your recruitment and onboarding, good succession planning, having a talent fit organisation, developing people in the right way based on their behaviours and sometimes knowledge and skills. They will feel better engaged with the business, and hence likely to be retained in the business as well. You're investing a lot of money to bring people in the organisation, and you want that return on the investment, and that is through the retention of people for the longer term, and let's say forever, but for the longer term.
Just to add as well, Lindsay, I think the 4 key areas, as we've mentioned, of Aspire and our approach to talent management, but it's got to start, I mentioned it with the engagement factors, it's got to start with what's the vision of the organisation? What's the organisation's values? The people, to get that emotional commitment, people have got to feel as if they're aligned or they understand, and there's a clear purpose of the organisation. And what are the expected behaviours? Because a lot of the cases there's a misalignment So it's really starting to be able to build your talent management strategy. It's got to be aligned. You've got to understand the vision and the values of that particular organisation.
Yeah, totally agree with that. And that's not to, to scare anybody off. You may not have a vision or a set of values. Again, you can search for this on Google. That's our reference material now. But start the process anywhere. Think about talent management as a strategy in your business. It needs to be an integrated part of what you're doing. And I say that not in a flippant way, in a serious way. People is going to be your biggest investment. We say people are most important assets. The right people are your most important asset. And if you've got 100 people and 30% are engaged, then 30% are your most important assets.
Yeah.
So we've got to get in play in your organisations high levels of engagement, high levels of retention, and you'll do that by selecting people robustly through a good, holistic and thoughtful talent management process.
Yeah, and ultimately it's about performance. The reason we want the right people in the right roles, in the right organisation, it's performance. For people to unleash some of that potential, it's about getting those things in place to give you the best possible chance to getting the best performance from the individuals, the teams and the organisation. So it's performance driven.
Yeah. Well, without a doubt, business is about adding massive value to the clients, but obviously you want that client to come and buy something as well. So there's people who will do that. People drive businesses. It's not bricks and mortar, it's not philosophies and strategies. The people will bring that to life for you. So yeah, just to recap then, just to finish us off, we really do feel that this needs to be an integrated approach as part of the strategic planning for any organisation, no matter how small or large. And there's plenty of reference material out on Google to have a look at on talent management. And just to recap how we like to see that, just to make it simple for us, and when we're talking to clients, and for you when you're maybe trying to talk to your team and to your management team as well. Aspire: acquisition, succession planning, improvement, retention, engagement. And you've got your full life cycle there. And that should put you in good stead when you start thinking about a talent management strategy.
And just two things to add for me to finish off there, Lindsay, is the foundation of it is emotional intelligence. So understand EQ, measure the EQ of the people you've got and the people that you're going to bring on board. And you can certainly develop each area of emotional intelligence, but also the whole thing is underpinned by talent analytics. Yeah. Find good tools to measure the people that you want to bring into the business, but also the people that you've currently got.
Okay. Yeah, so thanks for listening, and anybody who would like to leave some comments, please just leave some comments. Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you. Cheers.
Cheers.